Let's continue our discussion. Let's go to current liabilities. Sir, how do we know if a liability is current or non-current? A liability is current if it's due to be settled within 12 months or operating cycle, whichever is longer. Okay, yun yung rule natin. So, ibig sabihin, if beyond 12 months or beyond operating cycle, non-current liability yun. Okay? Now, examples of current liabilities are as follows. Number 1, trade and other payables. So, nandiyan yung accounts payable, short-term notes payable, accrued expenses, and unearned revenue. Okay? We also have estimated liabilities. Yung common examples yan, premiums and warranties. And meron din tayong provisions and contingencies, pero babalikan natin later yan. Okay? So let's go to refinancing. So ano ba ibig sabihin ng refinancing? Meron tayong existing loan na magmamature na and then i-replace natin. Okay? Now, ito yung mga relevant dates natin. So, July 1, 2025, December 31, 2025. So basically, ito yung end of reporting period natin or the balance sheet date. March 31, let's say ito yung date of issuance of FS. And July 1, ito yung maturity date. Okay, magmamature na next year yung loan natin. Now, ang general rule class, kapag currently maturing, current liability yan. Okay? Pero tingnan mo kung kailan nag-refinance. Scenario 1 natin, if nag-refinance siya, okay, so after the end of reporting period, okay, so dito, the classification is still current liability yan. Okay? Kasi after the end of reporting period, nag-refinance. Pero kapag nag-refinance siya, before the end of reporting period, for at least 12 months, okay, non-current liability yan. Third scenario natin, if nag-refinance siya, pero meron siyang discretion, okay, to refinance, whether nangyari yung refinancing after the end of reporting period or before end of reporting period, non-current liability yan. Right? So, ganun siya class. Ulitin ko. Kapag after the reporting period, current yan. Pag before and at least 12 months yung refinancing, non-current yan. Kapag may discretion to refinance, whether before or after the end of reporting period, always non-current liability. Okay? Let's go to payable on demand. Kapag may breach of contract, magiging payable on demand. The general rule is current liability yan. Okay? Pero tingnan mo class, baka nagbigay ng grace period. Dalawa yung scenarios natin. Number 1, nagkaroon ng grace period, let's say after the end of reporting period, kapag after, still current liability yan. Pero kapag nabigay ng grace period before the end of reporting period for at least 12 months, non-current liability yan. Okay, so yun yung rules natin. Sige, apply mo natin. Let's go to our handouts. Current liabilities. Number 1, which of the following is not considered a characteristic of a liability? A, present obligation, yes. Arises from past event. Results in an outflow of resources. Dog yung sagot mo dyan. Hindi yan kasama sa definition of liability. Liquidating is reasonably expected to require use of existing resources. Classified as current assets. Hindi yan criteria or characteristic of a liability. Okay, dog. Number 2, which of the following should be included as current? Trade notes payable, yes. Short-term zero interest bearing note payable. The short-term, ibig sabihin within 12 months, yes. Unearned revenue, yes. Actually, yung mga examples natin. So, dog yung sagot natin. All of these are included in current liabilities. Let's go to number 3. Which of the following is a non-current liability? Income tax payable, current. 1-year magazine subscription, current. Letter C yung sagot. Unearned interest income related to non-interest bearing long-term. Pag long-term, obviously, non-current yan. So, C na yung sagot natin. Estimated warranty liability, mga warranties, again, current yan. Let's go to number 4. What total amount should be presented as current liabilities? Okay, so isa-isa natin. CPA company disclosed the following information about liabilities at year-end. Accounts payable, after deducting debit balances in supplier's account amounting to 100,000. So, as I mentioned earlier, kapag debit balance accounts payable, current asset yan. Okay, advances to suppliers yan. So, gagawin ko dyan, for number 4, yung 4 million, add back ko yung 100,000, so 4.1 million yan. Next, accrued expenses, obviously, kasama yung accrued expenses, plus 1.5 million. Next, credit balances of customers' accounts, so yun yung credit balance ng AR natin, current liability yan. So, plus 500,000. Share dividends payable, take note, pag share dividends payable, equity yan, no? Hindi yan liability. Claims for increase in wages allowance by employees of the entity covered in a pending lawsuit. Kapag pending lawsuit, contingent liability. Later, aralin natin, dinidisclose lang yan. So, hindi siya liability. Estimated expenses, yes, kasama yan, 600,000. Let's compute for the total, 4.1 million. Plus 1.5 million, plus 500,000, plus 600,000. Sagot natin for number 4, 6.7 million. Number 5. The question is, what total amount should be reported as current liabilities? BSA company disclosed the following liability account balances. Accounts payable, yes. So, diretso calculator na ako, 1.9 million. Bonds payable, non-current. Premium on bonds payable, non-current. Deferred tax liability, always non-current yan. Okay? Dividends payable, kapag silent cash dividends payable. So, plus mo yan, plus 500,000. Income tax payable, yes, current, 900,000. Note payable due January 31, 2026. Next year, magmamature na yan. So, currently maturing. Ang general rule natin, current yan. So, plus 600. Nakuha ko dito class is letter C, 3.9 million. Let's go to number 6. Okay, what amount of these notes should be classified as current? Basahin natin yung given. VF company reported the following liability balances. 12% note issued on March 1, 2024, maturing March 1, 2026. Magmamature na next year. 10% note payable issued October 1, 2024, maturing October 1, 2026. Magmamature na next year. Okay? Ang general rule natin, basta magmamature na. Currently maturing obligations, current yan. Tingnan natin kung may refinancing. On January 31, the entire 5 million balance of the 12% note payable. Dalawa kasi yan. Mayroong 12% note. Okay? And then merong 10% note. Right? So tingnan natin. Yung 12% note daw, was refinanced through the issuance of long-term obligation payable lump sum. So again, kapag nag-refinance ka, after the end of reporting period, current pa rin yan. Ito siya, number 1. Okay, so yung 12% natin is current liability. Okay? Next, under the loan agreement for the 10% note payable, the entity has the discretion to refinance for at least 12 months. Kapag discretion to refinance, whether before or after the end of reporting period, non-current liability lagi yan. Okay? So, yung 10% natin, non-current liability. Ano ba itanong sa atin? How much daw yung current? Yung 12% lang, amounting to 5 million. Boy, yung sagot natin for number 6. Okay, number 7. This is about premiums. No? Okay, so, question is, what is the premium expense for 2025 and what is the premium liability on 2026? GHA company included 1 coupon in each package of cereal sold. A towel was offered as a premium to consumers who send in 10 coupons. So, si consumer, customer natin, magbibigay ng 10 coupons and then bibigay tayo ng towel. Alright? Packages of cereal sold, number of towels purchased at 40 pesos per towel, yun yung cost ng towel natin. Number of towels distributed, yun yung actual na didistribute natin. And number of towels distributed as premium next period, yun yung best estimate natin na didistribute natin next year, okay? What is the premium expense? Ang ginawa ko dito, class, sa premium expense, ginawa ko lang dyan yung 20,000 na towels distributed, in-add ko dyan yung 5,000 na estimate natin next period. So 20,000 plus 5,000, you have 25,000. Okay, multiply mo sa cost ng towel, so that is 1 million, alright? So letter A, 1 million. So para mas malinaw, lagyan natin yung journal entry. Doon muna tayo sa 20,000, ito yung actual, tama? Debit premiums expense, credit cash. 20,000 times 4, that is 800,000. And then yung estimate naman natin liability sa end of 2025, debit premium expense, credit estimated premium liability, that is 5,000 times 4 or 200,000. So kaya ang ginawa ko, parehong premium expense yung dalawa niya. Kaya inad ko na lang, multiply by 40. Okay, sagot natin for number 7 is letter A, alright? 1 million. Number 8, what is the estimated premium liability in 2026? So tingin ka dun sa last row, okay? Tama ba? Yung number of towels distributed as premium next year, 3,000, okay? So best estimate na yan. Na-consider na dyan yung 10 coupons. Yan na yung agad yung estimate natin. 3,000, multiply natin sa cost ng towel times 40. So that is 120,000. Sagot natin for number 8, letter C, 120,000. Alright, let's go to numbers 9 and 10. About warranties naman to. Number 9, what's the warranty expense? Number 10, what's the warranty liability? XYZ company estimated annual warranty expense as 2% of annual net sales. The net sales for the current year amounted to 4 million. At the beginning of the current year, the warranty liability was 60. And the payments during the current year, yung actual, 50,000. So, laging ko lang dyan, simply, T-account lang. Okay, for number 9. So, magti-T-account lang ako sa estimated warranty liability natin. Okay, beginning balance daw, sabi sa problem is 60,000. Siyempre, credit yan because liability. And then, yung for the year, 2% daw ng sales. So, 2% of 4 million, 4 million times 0.02, 80,000. Right? Actually, yun yung sagot natin dun sa number 9. What is the warranty expense? 80,000. Debit warranty expense, credit estimated warranty liability, 80,000 yan. And then, yung actual natin is 50,000. Siyempre, bawas sa liability yan. Solve for X. Ending balance natin, so 60,000. Beginning, plus 80,000 minus 50. Sagot mo dyan, class. 90,000, letter D. Easy. Right? So, number 9, letter C sagot, 80,000. Number 10 naman, D sagot, 90,000. Okay. Now, balik tayo dun sa provisions and contingencies. Okay? When you say provisions, it's a liability. Okay? Which is both probable and measurable. Okay? Bago ka mag-recognize ng liability, dapat probable and measurable. Pareho, ha? Okay, so yung provisions, liability yan. Yung contingencies, hindi yan liability. Okay? May two types yan. Contingent liability and contingent asset. When you say contingent liability, possible obligation lang siya. Okay? Hindi siya probable. Or, pwedeng present obligation, pero probable or measurable lang. Ulitin ko, para maging liability, dapat probable and measurable. Kapag contingent liability, is either possible lang yan, hindi yan present obligation, or probable or measurable, hindi and. Alright? So, tanda mo, class, kapag contingent liability, disclosure lang yan. Hindi tayo magre-recognize yan as liability, disclose lang natin. Now, kapag contingent asset, tingnan mo muna. If it's probable, di-disclose natin. Alright? If it's possible or remote, no disclosure, no journal entry. Okay? So, di mo papansinin basically. Kapag contingent asset, possible or remote, di mo papansinin. Pag mo i-disclose, huwag ka mag-entry. Kapag probable, disclosure lang. Kumbaga mas conservative tayo pagdating sa contingent asset. Contingent liability, always disclosure lang yan. Okay, so, sige, balik tayo sa handouts natin, provisions and contingencies. Number 1, a provision is, punta ka sa boy, an event which is probable and measurable. Tandaan mo, dapat pareho. Kapag or yan, contingent liability yan. Right? Let's go to number 2. Which of the following is incorrect concerning a contingent liability? Tingnan natin yung mga choices. A contingent liability is not recognized in the financial statement. Yes. Disclosure lang yan. B, a contingent liability is disclosed only. Yes. If the contingent liability is remote, no disclosure is required. Actually, that's also correct. A contingent liability is both probable and measurable. Mali. Probable or measurable. Dog for number 2. Number 3, which of the following is incorrect concerning a contingent asset? A contingent asset is not recognized. Well, tama yun. Okay, i-disclose mo lang yan. B, when the realization of income is virtually certain, the related asset is no longer a contingent asset, and it is recognition is appropriate. That's also correct. C, a contingent asset is only disclosed when the occurrence of the future event is possible or remote. Mali yun. Kapag possible or remote, wala kang disclosure, wala kang journal entry. Okay, letter C, yung mali dyan. D, the related gain arising from contingent asset is recognized usually when it is realized. Yes, so C yung sagot natin for number 3. Number 4, on December 31, 2025, ABC Company was a defendant in a pending lawsuit. In the opinion of the entity's attorney, it is probable that ABC will have to pay 500,000. It is reasonably possible that ABC will have to pay 600,000 as a result of the lawsuit. So yung 500,000 sa number 4, provision yan. Tama? Provision. So ibig sabihin liability yan. Pero yung 600,000 or yung excess na 100, okay, total kasi 600 eh. So yung excess na 100, contingent liability yan. Okay, so ang sagot natin dyan is letter B. An accrued liability of 500, kasi provision yan, mag-a-accrue tayo. Contingent liability yung 100 or 600 minus 500. So, disclosure lang yan. Okay, letter B for number 4. Alright, now, balik tayo dito class. For the provision, yung magiging estimate natin dyan is may hierarchy yan. Okay, number 1, sa provision natin, since estimate yan, number 1 is best estimate ni management. Okay, now kapag naman merong multiple outcomes, pwede natin gamitin yung expected value or the midpoint. Okay? So may hierarchy. So best estimate muna. Kapag multiple outcomes, pwedeng expected value or midpoint. Okay, balik tayo dun sa number 5. On November 5, 2025, AB Company was in an accident in an auto driven by XY Company. The entity received notice on January 12 of a lawsuit for 700,000 damages. The entity's counsel believed that it is probable that XY will be awarded an estimated lawsuit range between 200,000 and 500. So meron tayong multiple outcomes. Anong pwede mong gamitin dyan? Gamitin mo yung midpoint. Okay? So the possible outcomes are equally likely. So gagawin mo dyan, 200,000 plus 500,000 divided by 2. Sagot mo dyan is 350,000, letter D for number 5. And number 6. Okay, during 2025, Company X filed suit against Company Y seeking damages for patent infringement. On December 31, the legal counsel believed that it was probable that Company X would be successful against Company Y for an estimated amount of 1.5 million. So ingat ka dito. So tayo si Company X, tayo nag-file ng lawsuit. Okay, so tayo yung may contingent asset. Tama? Now, Company X was awarded noong March 31. Okay, in 2025 financial statements, how should this award be reported? So again, nakalagay sa problem, probable daw. Pero contingent asset yan, dapat mas conservative tayo. Hindi disclose lang natin. Letter D yung sagot dyan as a disclosure of a contingent asset of 1.5 million. Okay, next, let's go to notes payable. So for example, bumili tayo ng goods from a supplier, nag-issue tayo ng promissory note, meron tayong notes payable. Right? Now, since long-term yung notes payable, tingnan natin, depende yung accounting dyan if it's short-term or long-term. Okay, if it's short-term, or ibig sabihin, payable within 1 year, the notes payable is recorded at face value. Alright? If it's long-term or more than 1 year, tingnan mo muna. Is it interest-bearing or non-interest-bearing? Okay? If it's interest-bearing, the present value, siya long-term eh. Kailangan i-present value natin yan. Pag interest-bearing, the present value is equal to the face value. If it's non-interest-bearing, we know the present value is equal to the discounted value. And pag sabi discounted value, ibig sabihin yan below face value. Alright? And tingin ka rin kung paano ka nagpe-present value, kung kailan nangyari yung unang cash flows. Right? So, tingnan natin. Dalawang scenario lang naman yan. Yung first cash flows natin or yung first payment, tingnan mo. If ang first payment is today, okay, ang gagamitin mo dyan class is annuity due. Okay? O, ibang tawag dyan, annuity in advance. Okay? Pag ang first payment is 1 year from now, alam natin, ang gagamitin mo dyan is ordinary annuity. Okay? So, ingat ka kung ano gagamitin mo present value factors. Kapag babayaran today, annuity in advance or annuity due. Okay? Pag ang unang payment is 1 year from now, ordinary annuity yung gagamitin natin. Sige, so let's answer our handouts. Notes payable number 1. If the present value of a note issued in exchange for a property is less than the face amount, the difference should be, okay, so kapag discounted value, less than face amount yan, mag-amortize tayo. Okay, so ang goal natin, yung discounted value eventually maging equal to face value. Punta ka sa boy, amortize as interest expense over the life of the note. Sige, let's go to the problem solving. Okay, number 2, what amount should be reported as notes payable? And number 3, what is the interest expense? Okay, Pinnacle Company bought a new machine and agreed to pay in equal annual installment of 600,000 at the end of each of the next 5 years. Okay, the prevailing rate for this type of transaction is 12%. The present value of ordinary annuity of 1 at 12%, 3.6, and then binigyan tayo ng future amount, present value of 1 at 12% for 5 periods. O tingnan mo mabuti kung ano yung terms. Bumili tayo ng machine, nag-issue tayo ng 600,000 na equal annual installment at the end of each of the next 5 years. So, ang first payment mo is 1 year from now. Alright? So, ibig sabihin class, ang gagamitin natin is ordinary annuity. So, for number 2, paano natin kukumputin yung notes payable natin? 600,000 yung payment every year, multiply mo sa ordinary annuity na 3.6, 600,000 times 3.6. So, sagot mo na dyan class, for number 2 is 2,160,000. Yun yung present value of our notes payable. Letter B. Number 3, what is the interest expense? Alam natin class, pag interest expense is just the present value, multiply natin by the discount rate or yung effective rate. In this case, 12%. 2,160,000 times 12%. Interest expense natin, 259,200. Letter A. Easy. Okay, next. Number 4, on December 31, ABC Company purchased a machine in exchange for a non-interest-bearing note. So, alam natin, pag non-interest-bearing, present value tayo. Discounted value yan kasi walang interest eh. Requiring 8 payments of 200,000. The first payment was made on December 31, 2025, today. Okay? Ano tawag natin doon? Pag today yung first payment, annuity due or in advance. Right? Sige. At the date of issuance, the prevailing rate of interest. So, ang gagamitin mo dyan, hindi yung present value of ordinary annuity. Yung present value of annuity of 1 in advance. Ang gagawin ko dyan, class, it's just, so number 4, 200,000 multiply natin by 5.712, okay, 200,000 times 5.712, you have 1,142,400. Okay? Pero ingat ka, kasi ang bayaran today, okay, nagbayad tayo ng isang 200,000, i-minus mo yun. Okay yan? So, i-minus pa yung first payment kasi today yun. Minus 200,000, you have 942,400, letter D, 942,400. Alright, so ganun siya. That's for your notes payable. Let's move on to debt restructuring. We have three types of debt restructuring. Asset swap, also called dasyon and pago, equity swap, and modification of terms. So, ano yung mga kailangan tandaan dyan? Kapag asset swap, nagbayad tayo ng liability by paying our non-cash assets. Ang gagawin mo lang dyan, class, compare mo lang yung book value of the asset and the book value of the liability. Difference nila, gain or loss. Ganun siya. Book value versus book value. Kapag asset swap, difference is gain or loss. Kapag equity swap, meron tayong liability, ang pinambayad natin yung shares natin. May hierarchy yan. Number 1 natin, class, is the fair value of shares natin, issued. Pag wala yan, gamitin natin yung fair value of liability. Pag wala rin yan, carrying value of liability. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin, i-compare natin yung hierarchy natin versus the book value of our liability. Meron kang gain or loss. Alright, so ulitin ko yung hierarchy, compare mo yan sa book value ng liability natin, difference is gain or loss. Let's go to modification of terms. Modification of terms, so basically, ang nangyayari dyan, class, the carrying value of our liability, kino-compare natin yan sa present value of cash flows. And again, dahil ko inuulit, ang gagamitin mo dyan, so to compute for the present value is the original effective rate. Okay? Yung difference ng dalawa, meron kang impairment loss. Right? Now, dalawang scenarios tayo pag modification of terms. With substantial modification, and then, without substantial modification. Sir, paano natin malalaman kung with substantial? Kapag yung na-compute natin na gain or loss, which is the difference between the two, is at least 10% of the carrying value of old liability. Old, ha? Okay, meron tayong substantial modification. Ang implication yan, magre-recognize ka na ng gain or loss. Kapag naman, without substantial, ibig sabihin yung gain or loss natin is less than 10% of the carrying value of old liability. Huwag ka magre-recognize ng gain or loss. So, wala. Okay? Pag substantial, magre-recognize ng gain or loss. Pag hindi substantial, huwag kang mag-recognize ng gain or loss. Alright, so that's for debt restructuring. Let's answer our handouts. Debt restructuring number 1. In a debt restructuring that is considered asset swap, the gain on extinguishment is equal to book value versus book value or carrying value, dog. Letter D, excess of the carrying amount of debt over the carrying amount of the asset. Compare mo lang carrying value or book value nila, yun yung gain or loss. Letter D for number 1. An entity shall initially measure equity instruments issued to extinguish a financial liability at. Kapag equity swap, ang hierarchy natin, number 1 is fair value of shares. A yung sagot mo dyan, yun yung priority natin. Let's go to number 3. For a debt restructuring involving a substantial modification of terms, ibig sabihin at least 10%. Which of the following specified by the new terms would be compared to the carrying amount? Punta ka dun sa boy. The present value using the old or original effective interest rate. Boy yung sagot natin dyan. Pag substantial modification, at least 10% yung gain or loss natin of the carrying value of the old liability. Let's go to number 4. Number 4 is asset swap. Ang tanong sa atin, what amount of pre-tax gain on extinguishment should be reported? Alam natin pag asset swap, carrying value or book value versus book value. Tingnan natin. CPA company is indebted to ABC Bank under a 5 million, 12%, 3-year note dated December 31. Because of financial difficulties, CPA owed accrued interest of 600,000. So ano yung carrying amount ng liability natin? Well, meron tayong 5 million na principal plus 600,000 na accrued interest. Therefore, yung carrying amount natin is 5.6 million. Right? And then, under debt restructuring, ABC agreed to settle the note and accrued interest for a tract of land. Fair value 4.5, acquisition cost 3.6. Ano gagamitin mo dyan? Siyempre yung carrying value or the book value, which is the cost, okay? 3.6 million. So yung carrying amount of the asset, 3.6 million. Difference sila, 5.6 minus 3.6, you have 2 million. Okay? So meron kang gain kasi ang sinurrender mo lang, pinambayad mo lang mas mababa. Letter A yung sagot mo dyan for number 4. Number 5. This is equity swap. The following information pertains to the transfer of shares to a debt restructuring. Meron tayong carrying amount of liability, so lagyan natin. Of liability, 1.5 billion. And then meron tayong fair value, shares transferred and fair value of liability. Ano yung priority mo? Shares transferred. Okay, given siya, so yung gamitin mo. So fair value of the shares, how much? 1 million. So ang binayad mo lang is 1 million, meron kang 500,000 na gain, letter boy for number 5. Number 6 and 7, this is about modification of terms, so tingnan natin. Number 6, what is the gain on extinguishment? Number 7, what is the interest expense? On January 1, Mr. Accounting Company had an overdue 10% note payable to ABC at 8 million. Accrued interest of 800,000. Tama ba, class? Yung carrying amount natin, yung principal is 8 million and then accrued interest na 800,000. So yun yung carrying amount of our loan, alright? So 8.8 million. Compare natin yan sa present value of cash flows using the new terms. Okay, tingnan natin. ABC agreed to the following provisions. The principal obligation is reduced to 6 million. Yun yung principal. Compute natin yung present value. Present value, yung principal muna. Okay, principal is, meron tayong 6 million. Multiply natin by, tingin ka sa baba, the present value of 1 for 4 periods is 0.683 times 0.683. So 6 million times 0.683, you have 4,098,000. Siyempre, kailangan mo rin computein yung present value of interest. Tama? Let's see, the accrued interest is forgiven. Hindi yan sisingilin. Pero kasama pa rin yan dito sa carrying amount, ha? Kahit forgiven. The date of maturity is extended to December 31, 2028. Annual interest of 12% is to be paid. Ito na yung bago mong principal. Yun yung basis ng 12%. Okay? So 6 million times 12%, yung interest natin is 720,000 per year, multiply mo by ordinary annuity. Kasi equal annual payments yan, 3.17. 720,000 times 3.17, you get 2282,400. Add natin yan, principal na 4,098,000 plus 2282,400. The present value is 6,380,400. So carrying amount is 8.8. The present value is 6,380,400. Tingnan natin class yung difference nila. Minus 8.8 million. Yung gain natin dyan is letter C, 2,419,600. Bakit gain? Kasi una, yung original liability natin is 8.8. Bumaba, 6.3. Nabawasan yung utang natin, basically. So may gain ka, 2,419,600, letter C. What is the interest expense? So we know, pag interest expense, yung bagong carrying amount mo na. Ano yung bagong carrying amount mo? 6,380,400. Multiply natin by the effective rate, yung original, which is 10%. Wag yung 12% ha. 10% yung original gagamitin mo. Times 10%. Alright, 6,380,400 times 0.1, you get 638,040. 638,040. Ingat ka doon. Okay? Like kaya highlight ko dito, original ang gagamitin mo dyan. Letter B, 638,040. That's for your debt restructuring. Let's move on to bonds payable. Bonds payable is a long-term liability. Okay? Since long-term yan, alam natin, kailangan mo i-present value yan. Okay? So meron tayong two na rates na may encounter for bonds payable. We call it effective rate, also called market rate or discount rate, and nominal rate, also called coupon rate or the stated rate. Now, if equal yung dalawa na yan, effective is equal nominal, the present value of the bonds payable is equal to the face value. Walang problema. If mas mataas yung effective rate, the nominal rate, the present value is equal to discount. Pag sabing discount, mas mababa than face value. Kapag effective rate is less than the nominal rate, the present value natin is at a premium. Okay? Whether discount or premium, ang goal natin is the present value should equal to face value. Ang tawag natin diyang class, effective interest method or gagamit tayo ng amortization table. Okay, so let's go to the bonds payable. Bonds payable number 1. The amortized cost of bonds payable means punta ka sa DOG. Face amount plus premium, patas mo yung premium, and minus yung discount. Okay, DOG tayo for number 1. Number 2, if the bonds are issued at a premium, this indicates that punta ka sa premium, di ba? Punta ka sa BOY. The nominal rate is higher, exceeds the yield rate. Yung yield yung effective yun. Okay, mas mataas yung nominal sa effective, premium yan. BOY for number 2. Number 3, under the effective interest method, the interest expense is equal to, interest expense, lagi siyang based on our effective rate. Carrying amount times effective rate. Punta ka sa DOG, the market rate of interest, or the effective rate, multiply natin by the carrying amount. Okay, DOG for number 3. Let's go to numbers 4 and 5. Okay, number 4, what is the balance of the discount? And number 5, what is the carrying amount of bonds payable? Okay, so tingnan natin yung given. On January 1, RST, company issued 9% bonds with face amount of 4 million, which matures on January 1. The bonds were issued for 3,756,000. So, ano ibig sabihin yan? In-issue at a discount kasi mas mababa than face value. Face value dito is 4 million. To yield 10%. So, kaya anong nangyari? Yung nominal rate dyan is 9%, yung effective is 10, mas mataas yung nominal sa effective, kaya siya. Tama ba? Issued 9% bonds, so mas mataas si effective than the nominal, kaya siya at a discount. Alright? So, consistent naman. Resulting in bond discount of 244,000. The entity used the interest method or the effective interest method. Interest is payable annually. On December 31, 2025, 1 year after, what is the balance of discount? So, gagawin ko sa number 4, para sigurado ko, gagawa ako ng partial amortization table. Interest paid, interest expense, we have amortization, and the carrying amount. Yung carrying amount natin, beginning, 3,756,000. Tandaan mo class, yung interest paid natin is always based on the nominal rate. Yung interest paid, interest expense natin is always based on the effective rate. Okay? So, 4 million, multiply natin by 9%, you have 360,000. Carrying amount, 3,756,000. Multiply natin by 10%, 3,756,000. Difference nila, 360,000 minus 375,600, you have 15,600. Ang goal natin class, sabi ko kanina, yung present value maging equal to face. So, ibig sabihin, dapat tumaas to. Increasing dapat yan. So, 375,600 plus 15,600, yung bagong carrying amount natin is 3,771,600. Okay, so yun yung carrying amount. Actually, yung sagot mo sa number 5. What is the carrying amount of bonds payable? 3,771,600. So, number 4, balance na ng discount. Tama ba class? Yung original balance natin ng discount, according to the problem, 244,000. Nandun sa third sentence. Nag-amortize tayo ng 15,600. Minus natin yan. So, 244,000 minus 15,600. Yung updated balance ng discount natin is 228,400. Letter A for number 4. Number 4 is A. Number 5 is C. Number 6 and number 7. Number 6, what is the balance of the premium? Premium naman this time. Number 7, carrying amount. On January 1, WXY issued 10% bonds in the face amount of 5 million, which mature on January 1. The bonds were issued for 5,675,000 to yield 8%. So, mas mataas than face kaya ata premium. And para ma-ensure, 10% yung nominal rate, effective rate is 8%. Mas mataas yung nominal than effective, kaya ata premium siya. Okay? The entity used the interest method, the effective interest method. So, ang gagawin ko sa number 6, gawa ako ng partial amortization table, interest paid, interest expense, we have amortization, and we have the carrying amount. Carrying amount, original, 5,675,000. Okay? And then interest paid natin is always based on 10%. Interest expense natin is always based on 8%. Okay? So face value 5 million, multiply natin by 10%. Interest paid is 500,000. Interest expense, carrying amount na 5,675,000, multiply natin by 8%. You have 4,544,000. Okay? Difference sila, minus 500,000. Amortization natin is 46,000. Ang goal natin mag-equal sa face amount yan. Face natin is 5 million, so dapat decreasing yan. 5,675,000 minus 46,000, you have 5,629,000. Okay, sagot natin. Dun sa number 7, what is the carrying amount? Letter boy, 5,629. Number 6, balance of the premium. Yung unadjusted balance ng premium natin is according to the problem, tingin ka dun sa second paragraph, that is 675,000. Nag-amortize ka na 46, 675,000 minus 46, 675,000 minus 46, you have 629,000. Sagot natin class for number 6, letter B, 629,000. Alright, let's now go to compound financial instrument. Okay, so compound financial instrument, sa single instrument, meron tayong two components, liability and equity components. Ang pinakamaganda examples of compound financial instrument, you have convertible bonds, or ibig sabihin, yung bonds, pwede natin convert into ordinary shares. You also have bonds with share warrants. Pag share warrants, yung shareholder natin, meron siyang right to buy shares at a specified price. Now, ano ba yung rule natin for compound financial instrument? Ihiwalay natin yan. Accounted for separately yan. So, yung value of the whole compound financial instrument, compute muna natin yung fair value of the liability, which is in this case, yung bonds payable. Yun muna. So, i-minus mo yan, yung residual natin. Okay? Laging residual yung equity natin. Okay? Charge mo sa equity. In this case, ang equity, ang tawag natin dyan for convertible bonds, ang tawag mo doon is conversion premium. Yung share warrants naman, lagyan natin share warrants. Okay? Actually, conversion premium and share warrants, share premium yung presentation yan, or APIC. Alright? So, dito ko compound financial instrument, priority natin yung fair value of liability. Yung difference ng amount nila, you have the equity. Okay? Sige. Let's go to compound financial instrument number 1. How are the proceeds from issuing a compound instrument allocated between liability and equity? Punta ka sa A. First, the liability component is measured at fair value, and then the remainder of the residual is allocated to the equity. Letter A for number 1. Alright, let's go to numbers 2 and 3. Computation tayo. Number 2, what amount should be recognized as discount or premium on the original issuance of bonds? Number 3, what is the equity component? Okay, apply lang natin yung concept. This is given. At the beginning of the current year, CPA company issued 12%, 5 million non-convertible bonds at 103, which are due in 5 years. In addition, each 1,000 bond was issued with share warrants na 30. So, ang tawag natin doon, bonds with share warrants. Alright? So, ganito gagawin ko dyan. Each of which entitled bondholder to purchase for 50. Tama ba class? Based on the first sentence, 5 million non-convertible bonds at 103. So, yung buong compound financial instrument, which in this case, yung bonds with share warrants, how much yung value niya? 5 million, multiply natin by 1.03, you have 5,150,000. Allocate natin yan. 5,150,000. Allocate natin sa liability, which is the bonds payable. Equity, which is yung share warrants natin. Okay. On the date of issuance, second paragraph, the market value of the share was 40 pesos and the market value of the warrant was 4. The market rate of interest for similar bonds ex warrants pag wala daw warrants. Okay? 14%. The present value of 1.62 and present value of ordinary annuity 3.43. So, computing ko yung present value of the principal and interest. So, present value, principal muna, yung bonds natin, meron siyang face amount of 5 million. Multiply natin by PV factor na 0.52. Right? So, 5 million times 0.52, you have 2.6 million. Present value of interest. So, how much yung interest? 5 million times 12%. Tama? So, interest natin is 600,000. Multiply mo by ordinary annuity na 3.43. 600,000 times 3.43, you have 2,058,000. Add natin yan, 2.6 million, plus 2,058,000, 4,658,000. Yung liability natin, 4,658,000. And then, i-minus mo yan, 5,150,000, minus 4,658,000, yung equity mo, 492,000. Number 2, what amount should be recognized as discount or premium? O, tingnan mo natin. Ang ba class, yung face amount natin is 5 million, tama? So, ibig sabihin, yung face mo is 5 million, in-issue at a discount, 5 million, minus 4,658,000, meron tayong discount na 342,000. 342. Letter B. Easy. What is the equity component? Yung residual natin, 492,000. Letter C. Okay, so that's for compound financial instrument. Let's continue our discussion. Let's go to leases. I-separate natin yung discussion na lessee and lessor. Okay, so lessee muna tayo. The general rule is, from the point of view of the lessee, lease is classified as a finance lease. Okay? Now, dalawa lang yung exceptions dyan. Kailan magiging operating lease? 2 exceptions. If the lease is short-term or the leased asset is of low value. In that case, ang gagamitin natin is operating lease. But by default, from the point of view of the lessee, finance lease tayo. Pag sabi mong finance lease, mayroong entry si lessee na debit, right of use asset, credit lease liability. Buwan tayo sa lease liability. This is equal to the present value of minimum lease payments. Sir, ano yung minimum lease payments? Meron tayong rentals. We have purchase option na reasonably certain na i-exercise. And last one is the guaranteed residual value or GRV. So yung purchase option and GRV, either or yan. So isa lang dyan yung pwede maging present sa lease. Okay, tandaan nyo class, yung URV, totally disregarded siya from the point of view of the lessee. Totally disregarded yung URV. GRV lang important. Okay? Now, the lease liability again is equal to the present value of minimum lease payments. Nakuha na natin siya. The present value natin to using the implicit interest rate. Yun yung priority natin. Pag hindi given yan, you will use the incremental borrowing rate. Next, doon naman tayo sa right of use assets. Ano yung components yan? Well, nandiyan yung PV of MLP. Okay? So, i-compute natin sa lease liability, ilalagay natin yun sa right of use asset. What else? Nandiyan din yung lease bonus. So, basically, lease bonus is payment from lessee to lessor. I-minus natin yung lease incentive. Lease incentive naman is payment from lessor to lessee. Kaya naka-minus siya. What else? Kasama dyan yung initial direct cost. And last one is restoration cost. Pero dapat yung restoration cost, nasa kontrata na required si lessee na i-restore yung property. Okay, now, punta tayo dito. Tignan natin yung rules for depreciation. Tignan mo muna class, if no transfer of title, i-depreciate natin yung right of use asset over lease term. If the problem is silent, ganyan yung assumption natin. Walang transfer of title, depreciation is over the lease term. Pag with transfer, mapupunta kay lessee, yung leased asset, well, sa atin na yan, so over useful life. Kapag may purchase option, bibili niya ni lessee, therefore, depreciate mo yan over useful life. Kapag may GRV, yan yung guarantee natin kay lessor, yung amount ng leased asset at the end of his life, ibig sabihin, babalik natin yung kay lessor, i-depreciate mo over lease term. Right? So, yan yung, okay, so yan yung mga kailangan natin tandaan for the lessee. Apply natin concepts class. Let's go to our handouts. Number 1. Under IFRS 16, a lease is required to recognize, or a lessee is required to recognize, punta sa A, right of use asset and lease liability. Debit right of use asset, credit lease liability. Okay, letter A. Number 2, which is not part of the lease payments or the minimum lease payments. So basically, pag present value mo yung minimum lease payments, yun yung lease liability. Alin yung kasama dyan? The rental payments, yes, kasama yung rentals. Any residual value guaranteed by the lessee, yes, GRV. Kapag URV nakalagay, hindi kasama. Letter C, any payment the lessee must make to purchase the underlying asset. So that's the purchase option, kasama yan. Dog yung sagot natin. Hindi yan part. Yung executory costs, tandaan mo class, hindi yan kasama. Okay, dito, hindi kasama yung executory costs. Because yung executory cost, that is the payment from lessee to third party. Expense yan. Hindi yan kasama sa minimum lease payment. So dog. Number 3, the cost of the right of use asset comprises all except PV of MLP. Yes, kasama yan. Lease payments made to lessor on or before the commencement date. Yes, yung lease bonus yan. C, initial direct cost, yes, kasama. Estimated cost of dismantling, removing, restoring. Okay, sana, kaya lang sa end nakalagay, has no present obligation. Dapat required si lessee para i-capitalize natin yung restoration cost. So, dog, kasi nakalagay, no present obligation, so hindi kasama yan sa right of use asset. Okay, let's go to the computation for 5, 6, and 7. So, tingnan natin class. Number 4, what is the initial lease liability? Number 5, right of use asset. Number 6 is annual depreciation. And number 7, what is the interest expense? Is it given? At the beginning of current year, Pinna company leased a building with the following information. Annual fixed payment in advance at the beginning of each year. Ingat ka lagi kung kailan yung first payment. So dito, in advance. So ibig sabihin, at the start of the lease, magbabayad agad. Right? So 1 million. So gagawin ko dyan yung rental sa 1 million. And then, initial direct cost, so later, sa right of use asset yan. Lease incentive, lease bonus, discounted amount of restoring the building, purchase option that is not reasonably certain. Okay sana. Yan ang dapat, bago mo isama yung purchase option, dapat reasonably certain yan. Nakalagay, explicit, not reasonably certain, huwag mo isama yan sa minimum lease payment. So, ang gagawin ko lang dyan, class, yung minimum lease payments natin is just the rentals, i-present value natin, tingin ka sa baba. Since ang first payment is today, gagamitin ko dyan is annuity in advance na 4.31. 1 million times 4.31, answer mo dyan, class, 4,310,000. So, basically, ito yung lease liability natin. Letter B or boy for number 4. What is the cost of the right of use asset? So, ano yung row 1 natin? Well, kasama dyan yung PV of MLP, or basically yung lease liability natin na 4,310,000. Tingin tayo dun sa given. So, second item, initial direct cost, kasama yan, yung IDC natin. So, initial direct cost of how much? That is 350,000. Lease incentive. Okay? So, yung lease incentive, tayo yung naka-receive. Minus yung incentive, right? Na-receive natin from the lessor, yan, minus mo yan. 150,000. Lease bonus, paid, tayo nagbayad kay lessor, plus 100,000 yan. Restoring the building required by contract, nalagay required, so kasama yan. Restoration cost natin is 200,000. And then, yan, so, tignan natin class. 4,310,000. And then, plus 350, minus 150, plus 100, plus 200,000. Sagot mo dito, 4,810,000. Answer for number 5, letter B, 4,810,000. Easy. Number 6. What is the annual depreciation? Ano yung rule natin dito, class? Well, kapag silent yung problem, assume natin na no transfer of ownership. Yung purchase option dito, hindi mo i-consider kasi not reasonably certain. Ibig sabihin, i-depreciate mo siya over lease term. So yung row 1 natin, 4,810,000, i-divide natin by lease term. In the problem, the lease term is ilan? 5 years nakalagay. Okay, so 5 years. 4,810,000, divide natin by 5. Depreciation mo is 962,000. Answer for number 6 is C. And number 7, what is the interest expense for the current year? Well, ito yung lease liability natin. Ganito gagawin ko yung class. Meron tayong lease liability na 4,310,000. Pero ingat ka, yung first payment is today. Okay? How much yung payment? Yung rental dito, that is 1 million. So minus mo yung 1 million, you get 3,310,000. Multiply natin by the interest rate of 8%. 3,310,000 times 8%. Our interest expense is 264,800, letter C for number 7. Okay, so That is for the lessee. Tingnan natin. Doon naman tayo kay point of view of the lessor. From the point of view of the lessor, we can categorize the lease as operating or finance lease. So, depende yan. Kapag without transfer of risks and rewards, operating yan. Kapag with transfer of risks and reward, finance lease yan. Sir, paano natin malaman kung may transfer of risks and rewards? So, ito. Titatandaan mo. Number 1, if there is a transfer of ownership or transfer of title, nakasulat sa kontrata. Number 2, if there is a bargain purchase option. Number 3, if the lease term is major part, which is 75%, okay, of the useful life. The present value of MLP substantially amounts to 90% of the lease asset. And last one is, lease asset is of specialized nature. Kung may present na isa dyan, kakategorize or kaklasify ni lessor yung lease as a finance lease. Okay? Pero doon mo tayo sa operating lease. Kapag operating lease, tatandaan mo lang class, straight line method lang yung i-apply dyan ni lessor. Magsagot mo tayo ng operating lease. Let's go to our handouts. Okay, so operating lease, number 1. The classification of a lease as either operating or finance is based on, punta dun sa BOY, transfer of risks and rewards of ownership. Kapag with transfer, finance lease. Kapag without, operating lease. So, BOY tayo for number 1. Number 2, lease payments under an operating lease shall be recognized as income by the lessor on, tandaan mo, straight line method yan. Right? So, ibig sabihin, equal annual rent income yung i-recognize natin as a lessor kapag operating lease. Letter A, straight line basis over the lease term. Number 3, what amount of rental revenue should be reported in the income statement for the year ended December 31? Okay, tingnan natin. Company X owns an office building and normally charges tenants 3,000 per square. Because of the occupancy rate is low, Company X agreed to lease 1,000 square meters to Company Y at 1,200 per square meter for the first year of a 3-year operating lease. Rent for the remaining years will be 3,000 pesos yung rate. Okay? So tingnan natin, sa year 1, complete natin class yung total payments. 1,000 square meters times 1,200 per square, that's 1.2 million. Sa years 2 and 3, 3,000 pesos na. So 1,000 times 3,000 pesos per square, 3 million. Ganun din sa year 3. Okay? So 3 million siya. Ayun yung nasa agreement nila. Total payments na ma-receive natin from the lessee is 7.2 million. Pag sinabi mong straight line method, divide mo by 3 yan. Okay? So divide by 3, 7.2 million. Divide by 3, you have 2.4 million. Okay? O sagot natin dyan class, i-recognize natin sa year 1 is 2.4, sa year 2, 2.4, sa year 3 is also 2.4. Ang tawag natin dyan, straight line method. Letter A for number 3. Let's go to number 4. What's the net rent income for the current year? The beginning of the current year, Company X leased a building to Company Y under an operating lease for 10 years. So, circle mo 10 years, yung lease term, 500,000 per year, payable the first day of each lease year. Company X paid 150,000 to a real estate broker as initial direct cost. Pag initial direct cost under operating lease, amortize natin yan over the lease term na 10 years. The building is depreciated 120,000 per year, insurance and property tax expense 90,000. So how much daw yung rent income? Well, how much yung rentals natin? That is 500,000 per year. Tama? Ano yung mga expense natin? Meron tayong depreciation expense given sa problem. Second paragraph, 120,000 yung nakalagay. Meron tayong insurance and taxes. Basically, executory costs yan. Expense natin, 90,000. And then, amortization of the initial direct cost. How much yung initial direct cost? That is 150,000 divided by 10, 15,000. So, minus yan kasi amortization expense. How much yung net rent income natin? 500,000 minus 120 minus 90 minus 15,000. Sagot mo dyan, 275,000. Letter A, 275,000. Okay. We're done with operating lease, okay? Lessor pa rin tayo, pero finance lease naman. From the point of view of the lessor, for under finance lease, meron tayong 2 types. Direct financing and sales type. Doon muna tayo sa direct financing. For direct financing, kailangan natin computin first is the gross investment minus net investment, you have the UII. Sir, ano yung gross investment? The gross investment is the minimum lease payments plus URV, okay? So take note, yung minimum lease payments, tama ba class? Nandiyan yung GRV, okay? Plus URV. So, big sabihin, sa point of view ni lessor, kino-consider natin both GRV and URV. Right? Pag kay lessee, totally disregarded yung URV. Kapag kay lessor, kukonsider na natin yan. Kasi ano ba ibig sabihin ng gross investment? Lahat na marireceive natin from the lessee. Okay? So, marireceive mo pa rin yung asset, hindi lang guaranteed. URV yan. Okay? Net investment class is equal to the cost of the asset plus initial direct cost. Difference ng dalawa, you have unearned interest income. Okay? Now, tingnan natin yung journal entry. Debit lease receivable, yun yung total amount, yung gross investment. Let's assume na 5 million yan. Okay? Equipment natin, yan yung net investment. Let's say 4 million, UII mo dyan is 1 million. Okay? So, ganyan yung entry. Now, in the balance sheet, paano yung presentation yan? Si lessor, i-present niya yung lease receivable na 5 million minus UII na 1 million. Yung net in the balance sheet na lease receivable is 4 million. Okay? Yan yung carrying amount. Sige, so apply natin. Let's go to number 1, direct financing. All of the following situations would prima facie lead to a lease being classified as finance lease. So, tingnan natin. So, in-enumerate ko kanina yan. Transfer of ownership, yes. Option to purchase at a low value below the fair value, yes, yung bargain purchase option. Lease terms are major part or 75%. The present value is 90%, hindi 50%. So, except yung nakalagay, dog yung sagot mo dyan. Number 2, gross investment in the lease is equal to sum of the lease payments, okay, by a lessor and URV. Okay, gross amount yan, huwag mo present value. Gross amount na minimum lease payments plus URV. Letter A yung sagot natin dyan. Okay, let's go to number 3. Net investment in the direct financing is equal to cost of the asset plus initial direct cost, letter B or boy. Number 4, all of the following would be included in the lease receivable. GRV, yes, kasi nasa MLP yun eh. Kasama yan. Next is URV, yes, kasama yan. Next is purchase option, yes, kasi yung purchase option nandun din yan sa MLP, alright? And all would be included, dog, for number 4. Let's go to numbers 5 to 8. Computation naman tayo. Number 5, what is the gross investment? Number 6, what is the net investment? 7, what is the interest income? And number 8, what is the interest income for the current year? Okay? So, tingnan natin. Mr. Accounting Company is in the process of listing a new sophisticated equipment. The lessor expects a 12% return on net investment. All lessees are classified as direct financing. At the end of the lease term, the equipment will revert to the lessor. If silent, ganoon naman yung assumption natin. Babalik kay lessor yung leased asset. At the beginning of current year, the equipment is leased to lessee with the following information. Okay, so let's compute for the gross investment. So, yung gross natin, again, kasama dyan yung rent, yung MLP plus the URV. How much yung rentals natin? Cost of the equipment is 5 million. Annual rental, URV natin is 600, kasama yan. Annual rental payable at the beginning, 900. And then yung lease term kasi is 8 years, tama? So 900,000 times 8, okay? Para makompute natin yung total. So yung rentals natin, 7.2 million. Plus the URV of 600,000. Therefore, ang gross investment natin is 7.8 million. Alright, so that's your gross investment. Again, minimum lease payments. So in this case, meron tayong rentals. Wag mo yung present value, kaya gross investment. Plus URV, kaya 7.8 million yung sagot natin. Let's go to number 6. Net investment. Pag sinabing net investment, cost of the asset, what is the cost of the asset? Doon sa first item, 5 million. Meron ba tayong initial direct cost? Yes. Punta ka doon sa fourth item, 250,000. 5 million plus 250, that's 250,000. Net investment natin class, letter B, 250,000. Number 7. What is the total interest income? Ibig sabihin yan, UII. Alright? Ano ba UII? Difference between the gross investment and net investment. 7.8 million minus 250,000. UII natin class is 2,550,000. 2,550,000. Difference ng dalawa. Answer mo letter A. 2,550,000. What's the interest income? Well, yung lease receivable natin, sabi ko kanina, is lease receivable minus UII. Alright? Or basically, yun yung net investment natin. Tama? How much yung net investment mo? 5,250,000. Kasi yung presentation mo yung balance sheet, naka-net yung UII natin. And take note na yung unang payment is today. So, i-minus mo yung first payment na 900,000. Okay? So, 5,250,000 minus 900,000, you have 4,350,000. Multiply natin class dun sa interest rate na 12%. 4,350,000 times 0.12, you get 522,000. Letter B for number 8. Alright, next, sales type lease. For the sales type lease, ang difference yung class, nagre-recognize tayo dito ng gross profit. Alright? Because under sales type, nagmamanufacture and nagbebenta tayo. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, kaya tayo may gross profit. Sales minus cost of goods sold. Yung procedure, same lang din. Compute natin yung gross investment minus the net investment, you have the UII. Magkakaiba yan sa journal entries. So, again, ito yung entry sa direct financing. Sa sales type, ganito naman yung entry. Alright? Debit lease receivable, which is also equal to the gross investment, for example, 5 million. Credit natin sales, kasi sales type. Unlike dito, credit mo equipment or kung ano man yung asset, right? Let's say 4 million. Pero ang rule natin sa sales, okay? Ang pipiliin mo dyan, present value of MLP or fair value of the leased asset, whichever is lower. Alright? Conservative tayo. So, present value of MLP or fair value of leased asset, whichever is lower. Take note, class nakalagay MLP. So, ibig sabihin, hindi kasama yung URV. Tama ba yan? Kasi MLP, ito yun, wala namang URV dyan. So, kapag sales, huwag mo sasama yung URV. Difference nila, UII, 1 million. And since sales type yan, dapat mag-debit cost of goods sold credit inventory tayo. At cost, for example, 3 million. Right? So, sales, 4 million minus cost of goods sold na 3 million. Meron tayong gross profit na 1 million. Kaya sabi ko, under sales type, meron tayong gross profit. Okay, next. Let's go to our handout. Sales type number 1. The primary difference between direct financing and sales type, punta ka sa letter C. Recognition of manufacturer or dealer profit at the inception of the lease. Again, meron tayong profit for sales type. Letter C for number 1. Under sales type lease, what is the meaning of gross investment? O, ganun din. Kung ano yung meaning dito sa direct financing. Punta ka sa DOG, sum of absolute amounts of lease payments, alright, and URV. Okay, so letter D for number 2. Number 3, the sales revenue. Recognize at the commencement with the lease. Paano tayo mag-recognize ng sales? Punta ka sa letter C. Fair value of the asset or present value, whichever is lower. Letter C for number 3. Let's go to numbers 4 to 7. Okay, computation tayo ng sales type. Number 4, what is the gross investment? Okay. Number 5, what is the net investment? Number 6, what is interest income? And number 7 is the gross profit on sale. This will be given. CPA company is a dealer in equipment. At the beginning of the current year, an equipment was leased to another entity with the following provisions. Annual rental, end of each year in the beginning, and 1.5 million. And yung lease term natin is 5 years. Tama ba, class? Kapag gross investment, kasama dyan yung rental. So 1.5 million, multiply natin by 5, nandyan yung 7.5 million. Tignan natin kung may URV. Lease term, cost of equipment, meron. Residual value, guaranteed, 500,000. So isama mo yan. Ibig sabihin, class, yung gross investment natin is 8 million, letter B or boy. Number 5, what is our net investment? Yung net investment natin, under sales type lease, ang gagawin mo dyan, class, i-present value natin itong gross investment. Okay? So, i-present value natin yung rentals. Lagay ko dyan, 1.5 million yung rentals natin per year. What is the present value of ordinary annuity times 3.6? Okay, so 1.5 million times 3.6, you have 5.4 million. I-present value natin yung URV, 500,000, times 0.57, kasi isang bayaran lang, isang one-time lang yung URV. 500,000 times 0.57, you get 285,000. 5.4 million plus 285,000, you have 5,685,000. Answer natin, class, for number 5 is letter B, 5,685,000. Number 6, what interest income should be reported? So, tingnan mo muna kasi sabi dyan, payable daw every end of the year. So, hindi ka na kailangan ito yung lease receivable natin, tama? Hindi ka na kailangan mag-minus ng 1.5 million kasi 1 year from now pa yan. So, 5,685,000, multiply lang natin yan diretso sa 12%. 5,685 times 0.12, you get 682,200. Answer natin lang, class, is letter A. Number 7, what amount should be reported as gross profit on sale? Dapat, meron tayong sales minus cost of goods sold. Yun yung gross profit natin. How much ulit yung sales? PV of MLP or fair value of this asset. Given by fair value of this asset, wala. Walang binigay. So, PV of MLP lang tayo. Asan yun? 5.4 million. Huwag mo isasama URV. Hindi naman part ng MLP natin. So, 5.4 million yung sales. Yung cost of goods sold natin, nakalagay dyan, class, yung cost of equipment, third item is 4 billion. Tanda mo, tatanggalin mo dyan yung present value of URV. Kasi hindi naman considered as benta yung URV. 285,000. 4 million minus 285,000. Our cost of goods sold is 3,715. Pero, take note na meron ka ring initial direct cost. Okay? Cost of goods sold din yan. Initial direct cost natin, sabi dyan sa last sentence, 200,000. So basically, dalawa yung cost of goods sold mo. 3,715 and the 200,000. 5.4 million sales minus 3,715,000 minus initial direct cost of 200. So good mo dyan, class. Letter A, 1,485,000. Easy. Okay. That's for leases. Next, doon naman tayo sa income tax. Right? So yung issue natin for income taxes is magkaiba yung rules. May difference in rules. Yung PFRS or the standards and the tax code, right? Now, dalawa yung sources ng differences natin. We call it permanent difference and temporary difference. Pag sabi permanent difference, never mag-a-appear yan sa ITR, okay, or sa tax code. Ang examples yan, yung mga non-taxable revenue and mga non-deductible expenses, right? Yun yung mga permanent differences. Temporary differences, meron tayong tinatawag na taxable temporary differences and deductible temporary differences. Pag taxable temporary differences, magre-result yan sa DTL. Pag deductible temporary differences, magre-result yan sa DTA. Right? Now, meron tayong two approaches. Income statement approach and the balance sheet approach. Ano yung difference ng dalawa na yan? Tingnan muna natin, yung DTA and DTL. DTA is an asset, so may beginning balance yan, debit and ending balance. Kapag income statement approach, or sa DTL naman, credit naman yan because liability yan, beginning balance, ending balance. Sa income statement approach, ang makuha mo dyan is the change during the period. Okay? Change. Pag balance sheet approach naman, makukuha mo dyan is the ending balance. Yun yung difference nila. Okay? Income statement approach. Start tayo with accounting income. Ko-convert natin yan into taxable income. Plus minus permanent differences. Tawag mo dyan, accounting income subject to tax. Plus minus temporary differences, you get a taxable income. Let's say yung tax rate natin is 25%. Pag multiply mo yan by 25%, makukuha mo dyan yung income tax payable natin. Alright? Debit income tax expense current, credit income tax payable. Yun yung entry natin for the income tax payable. Temporary differences, tingnan mo lang. Kapag negative adjustment, DTL yan. Pag positive adjustment, DTA yan. Ano yung entry natin for DTL? Debit income tax expense deferred, credit DTL. Pag DTA, debit DTA, credit income tax benefit. Alright? And then, ang shortcut, kapag total income tax expense is your accounting income subject to tax, multiply mo by the tax rate, let's say 25%, you get the total income tax expense. Next, doon naman tayo sa balance sheet approach. Carrying amount of the asset or liability, minus mo sa tax base, you have the difference. Right? Multiply mo sa tax rate natin, let's say 25%, you get the DTA or the DTL. Okay? Now, ano ba yung tax base? Ibig sabihin ng tax base, ano yung carrying amount of assets and liabilities kapag ginamit natin yung tax code. Right? Yun yung ibig sabihin niya. Now, so paano tayo maalala yan? Well, depende yan kasi. Yung rules natin, depende if it's an asset or liability. So again, ang kailangan mo lang tandaan, yung first one. For the asset, if the carrying amount is greater than tax base, we have a DTL. If carrying amount is less than the tax base, we have a DTA. For the liability, if carrying amount is greater than tax base, we have DTA. Opposite yung mga rules. If the carrying amount is less than tax base, we have DTL. Mapapansin nyo again, opposite yung rules niyan. So ito lang tiyatandaan ko yung una. Asset, carrying amount is greater than tax base, meron DTL. Everything else, opposite na lang yung magiging analysis natin. Alright? Sige, so let's apply. Punta tayo dun sa, okay, income tax natin is, nasaan na yan? Number 1, theory muna tayo. These are differences that will result in future taxable amount in determining taxable profit of future periods. O, tawag natin dyan, taxable temporary differences or TTD. Ito siya, taxable temporary differences. Magre-result yan into DTL. Okay? Letter B, taxable temporary differences. Number 2, these are differences that result in future deductible amount. Okay? So ito naman yan. DTD naman yan. Okay? Deductible temporary differences. Letter B, magre-result naman yan to DTA. Alright? Boy. Number 3, a temporary difference which would result in a DTL. Again, kapag DTL, negative adjustment. Alright? So ganito gagawin ko dyan. For number 3, interest revenue is a permanent difference. Hindi yan kasama. Walang DTA or DTL sa permanent difference. Pag permanent difference, never magre-reverse. Okay, accrual of warranty expense, hindi tayo nag-accrue. So plus yan, add back natin. DTA yan kapag plus. Next natin, excess tax depreciation, kulang depreciation natin, so negative, DTL yan. Subscriptions receivable in advance, taxan natin agad yan, kasi cash basis tayo sa tax, DTA yan. Okay, so ang negative lang natin is letter C, deferred tax liability yan. Letter C, yung sagot natin, excess tax depreciation. Number 4, the deferred tax expense is equal to, okay, sagot mo dyan is boy, increase in deferred tax liability, less increase in deferred tax asset. Because yung entry natin for DTL, debit income tax expense deferred, credit DTL. Pag nag-increase yung DTL, mag-increase yung income tax expense natin. Pag nag-increase yung DTA, may income tax benefit ka, nakakapag-decrease yan ng income tax expense, kaya naka-less increase in deferred tax asset. Boy for number 4. 5 to 8, apply natin yung income statement approach. Okay. XYZ company, tingnan mo natin yung questions. Number 5, what is the permanent difference? Number 6, current tax expense. 7, income tax payable. And number 8, total tax expense. XYZ company had pre-tax financial income of 2.5 million. Yan yung accounting income natin. Ang goal natin class, gagawin natin taxable income yan. The entity made corporated estimated payments of 180,000. Nagbayad na ng tax, 180. Babawasan yan sa income tax payable natin. Okay, the following information was provided. Interest income received, plus minus permanent difference. Tama? So interest income, subject to final tax yan. Hindi yan, kaya minus tayo dyan. Alright, so 2.5 million minus 360,000. Yung accounting income subject to tax natin is 140,000. Okay, next naman tayo sa temporary differences. Tax depreciation in excess of financial statement amount. So depreciation natin, minus tayo dyan, 160,000. Next natin is rent received in advance. I-taxan na agad natin yan kasi cash basis tayo for tax purposes, plus 280,000. We get a taxable income. 140 minus 160 plus 280,000, you have 260,000. Okay, so from here, kaya natin sagutan yan. Number 5, what amount of permanent difference? Sagot mo dyan, 360,000, boy for number 5. 6, what amount of current tax expense? 260,000. Multiply mo ba yan yung tax rate dito? 30%. 2260 times 0.3. Sagot mo dyan class, 678,000 dog. Number 7, what amount of income tax payable? Well, 678,000 sana. Kaya nagbayad ka na. Punta ka sa second sentence. Nagbayad tayo ng 180,000. So minus 180, ang kailangan pa natin bayad kay BIR is 498,000 letter A. Okay, number 8, what amount of total tax expense? Ang shortcut natin sa total tax expense, accounting income subject to tax, multiply natin by the tax rate times 30% to 140,000 times 0.3, we have 642,000. Letter C. Pag tinanong how much yung DTL, negative. Multiply mo by 30% yan. 160,000 times 0.3, DTL mo 48,000. Okay? Ito naman, positive, DTA naman yan. Times 30%, 280,000 times 0.3, DTA mo naman dito class is 84,000. Pag lang tinanong, right? Sige, so yun yung mga answers natin. Let's go to 9 to 12. Doon naman tayo sa balance sheet approach. Ito yung i-apply natin sa balance sheet approach. Again, yung una lang yung kailangan nyo tandaan dyan. Okay, number 9, what amount should be reported as current tax expense? Number 10, what amount should be reported as total tax expense? 11, deferred tax liability, and 12, deferred tax asset. Okay, so let's read the given. DF company, reveal the following differences between the book and tax basis of the assets and liabilities. Okay, so yung installment accounts receivable, that is an asset. Tama ba? So yung AR natin, installment accounts receivable, asset yan eh. So lagyan natin asset. And then yung litigation liability, liability yan. So carrying amount, given tayo, and then may tax base. So lagyan natin carrying amount and tax base. I-rewrite ko lang, carrying amount is 1,200,000. Tax base is 0 and 0. So difference sila is 1,200,000. Sabi ko kanina, yung difference nila multiply by the tax rate. So in this case, the tax rate according to the second to the last sentence is 30%. Multiply natin by 30%, you have 300,000 times 30%, you have 60,000. So tingnan natin class. This is asset, tama? Yung carrying amount is greater than tax base. Alam natin, deferred tax liability yan. So this one is DTL. And then, dito liability. Mas mataas yung carrying amount than the tax base. So ibig sabihin, meron tayong DTA. 60,000 is DTA. Okay, sagot natin for number 11. What amount should be reported as DTL? 300,000. So again, kapag balance sheet approach, ending balance agad yung makuha mo dyan. Letter C agad for number 11. Number 12, DTA. Letter C din yan. 60,000. DTA. Number 9, what amount should be reported as current tax expense? Pag current tax expense, taxable income, times yung tax rate natin. So ang gagawin ko dyan class, may taxable income ba tayo sa problem? Basahin natin yung second paragraph. It is expected that the litigation liability will be settled in 2026. The difference in AR will result in taxable amounts of 600,000. Yun yung taxable income natin. Tama? Oh, hindi pala. The entity has a taxable income of 7 million. Given pala, taxable income natin is 7 million. So, ibig sabihin, current tax expense, multiply mo lang by 30%, 7 million times 0.3, you have 2.1 million. For number 9, sagot mo dyan, letter A. Taxable income lang yan, times 30%. Number 10, what amount should be reported as total tax expense? So, ang gagawin ko dyan, class, pwede mong gawin, kailangan natin makompute yung accounting income subject to tax. Alright? So, from taxable income, hanapin ko yung accounting income subject to tax. Work back tayo. So, yung AR natin and litigation liability, yun yung dalawa nating reconciling items. Tama? Yung AR, installment accounts receivable, sabi dyan, will result in taxable amounts of 600,000 and 400,000 in 2027. So, ibig sabihin, since installment AR yan, kailangan for tax purposes, okay, kailangan mo i-minus yan. Okay, tama ba class? Ang gagawin natin kasi, paano yung accounting income, subject to tax, paano mo gagawin taxable income yan? Well, yung AR, i-minus mo yan. Okay? Kasi for tax purposes, hindi pa yan considered as revenue, hindi pa natin nare-receive yan. Litigation liability naman, 200,000 plus 200,000. Work back tayo, 7 million. Minus 200,000 plus 1 million, you have 7.8 million. 7.8 million multiplied by 30%. Okay, 7.8 times 0.3, you get 2,340,000. Letter B. Okay, boy. Or alternatively, tingnan natin to double check ko lang, 2.1 million plus 300 minus 60, 2,340,000. Ang isa pang computation, para di ka malito, for number 10, meron tayong current tax expense, tama? Which is 2.1 million. Meron tayong DTL na 300,000. Meron tayong DTA, ma-minus natin yung DTA kasi income tax benefit yan, 60,000. 2.1 million plus 300,000 minus 60,000, you have 2,340,000. Ayun, ito yung isa pang way, mas madaling intindihan. Letter B for number 10. Alright, next. Let's go to employee benefits. For employee benefits, we have two types. Okay? Meron tayong tinatawag na defined contribution plan and defined benefit plan. Pag sabi mo defined contribution, fixed contributions yan. Kaya, ang name niya is defined contribution. Ibig sabihin, fixed contribution. Yung benefits naman ng mga employees, variable. Okay? Depende sa performance ng fund. Alright? Pag defined benefit plan naman, variable contribution, and then fixed benefits. Opposite sila. Alright? So, kapag defined contribution plan, our employee benefit expense is just equal to the contribution to the fund. Yun lang kasimple. Pag defined contribution plan, walang any complications. Yung kinontribute natin, yun yung expense natin. Defined benefit plan, dito na yung may konti tayong complications because we will apply the projected unit credit method wherein meron tayong mga actuarial assumptions. Okay? So, tingnan natin. And employee benefit cost natin under defined benefit plan, meron tatlo siyang components. Number 1, service cost. Tatlo yan. Under service cost, meron tayong current service cost, past service cost, and gain or loss on settlement. Right? Next is net interest. Interest expense on PBO, interest income on FVPA, and last one nating class is interest expense on the effect of asset ceiling. Alright? And then yung remeasurement natin, may tatlo din yan. Remeasurement ng FVPA, remeasurement ng PBO, or basically yan yung increase or decrease actuarial assumptions natin, yung remeasurement ng PBO, and effect in asset ceiling. Okay? So yes, sir, bakit important yung components na yan? Yung service cost and net interest, pupunta ng P&L yan. Yung remeasurement, pupunta yan ng OCI. Okay? And important din, alam natin kung paano mag-compute ng FVPA and PBO. Paano yung FVPA? Asset yan. So, beginning balance yan, debit. Plus contribution, plus return, minus benefits paid, you get the ending balance. Sa PBO naman, liability yan. So, beginning balance natin is credit. Plus mo dyan yung current service cost, plus mo dyan yung past service cost, plus mo yung interest expense, minus benefits paid, you get the ending balance. Yan yung mga kailangan mong tandaan for employee benefits. Let's go to our handouts. Number 1. Which statement is true concerning recognition measurement of defined contribution? Okay? A. The contribution shall be recognized as expense in the period is payable. Yes. B. Any unpaid contribution, liability siya. Yes. Any excess naman is prepaid expense. Totoo yan. So, all of these statements are true about a defined contribution plan. Number 2, yung defined benefit. The components of defined benefit cost include all except service cost, kasama yan. Net interest, yes. Remeasurements, yes. So, wala yung contribution to the plan. Di yan kasama. D for number 2. Number 3, which of the following components shall be recognized through OCI? Yung OCI natin, yung mga remeasurements. Okay? Na yung sagot mo dyan. Remeasurements. Yung current service cost, past service cost, and interest, P&L sila. Okay? So, yung sagot natin. Let's go to the problem solving. 4 to 7. Okay, number 4, what amount should be reported as employee benefit expense? Number 5, what is the net amount of remeasurement? What is the FBPA? Number 6 and 7 is PBO. Alright, so ano gagawin ko dyan? At the beginning of the current year, Pinna company reported the following information in relation to a defined benefit plan. Meron tayong FBPA, T-account na tayo dyan. FBPA natin, beginning balance natin is 7 million. And then PBO natin is 7.5 million. Okay. During the year, the entity determined that the current service cost was 1.4. So, ang tanong sa number 4 is employee benefit expense. Kasama yung current service cost yan. Current service cost is 1.4 million. Meron ba tayong past service cost? Wala. Okay, what else? Kasama din dyan yung net interest. Okay, so interest expense on PBO. Beginning balance ng PBO natin is 7.5 million. Multiply natin by ano yung rate dito? 10% times 0.1. You have 750,000. And then, interest income ng FBPA natin. FBPA natin is 7 million. Multiply natin by 10%. That is 700,000. So, minus yan kasi income yan. Next natin. Actual return is 840. Other information, contribution to the plan 1.2, benefits paid 1.5, decrease in PBO 200, Present value of defined benefit obligation settled, settlement price 400. Okay, so may nagkaroon ng settlement. Gain or loss on settlement. Ano siya, gain or loss? Well, yung amount talaga na dapat bayaran natin is 500, pero ang binayad lang natin is 400. O may gain tayo, tama? So gain on settlement, 100,000. So, ayan, so minus siya. Makakabawa siya ng expense natin. 1.4 million plus 750,000 minus 700,000 minus 100,000. Sagot mo dito class, employee benefit cost or expense, 1,350,000. Number 4, letter C, employee benefit expense, 1,350,000. Let's go to number 5. What is the net amount of remeasurement? So, ganito gagawin mo yung class. May return tayo sa problem, tama? How much yung return dyan? Tingin ka dun sa middle portion, 840,000. Dalawa yung components ng return. Merong interest income, which is, na-compute natin earlier, 700,000. So, ibig sabihin, meron tayong 840 in total, may interest income ka ng 700, meron tayong remeasurement gain, which is the difference between the two. 840 minus 700, that's 140,000. Gain yan. Okay? Tingin ka sa baba, third to the last item, decrease in PBO. Pag nag-decrease yung PBO, okay sa atin yun kasi mas konti yung babayaran natin. So that's also a gain. Tama? So yung gain natin dyan is 200,000. So ibig sabihin class, 140 plus 200, 340,000 yung sagot natin. Number 5, what is the net amount of remeasurement? May remeasurement gain tayo na 140. And then meron tayong decrease in PBO. Okay? Na 200,000, 140 plus 200, 340,000 gain. Letter C. Number 6, what is the FVPA? Oh, gawin natin yung P account natin. Beginning balance is 7 million. And then contribution to the plan, 1.2 million. And then benefits paid to retirees, 1.5 million. Ano pa? Yung return natin na 840, syempre mag-increase yan sa FBPA. And then may sinettle tayo. How much yung sinettle natin? 400,000 settlement price. Yung binayad mo, 400,000. Okay, ending balance of FBPA, 7 million. Plus 1.2 million. Plus 840 minus 1.5 million. Minus 400,000. Nakuha ko dito class is 7,140,000. FBPA natin, number 6, 7,140,000. Doon tayo sa PBO, 7.5 million. Add mo dyan yung current service cost na 1.4 million. Add mo dyan yung interest expense na 750,000. And then, meron tayong decrease in, meron tayong binayaran na 1.5 million. Okay? Meron tayong decrease in PBO na 200,000. Decrease yan. And then, may sinettle tayo. How much yung sinettle natin? 500,000. Okay? So, compute natin yung ending balance, 7.5 million plus 1.4 million plus 750 minus 1.5 million minus 200,000 yung decrease in PBO minus 500,000 the settlement, 7,450,000. Answer natin class, 7,450,000. Letter boy. Number 8, meron pa isa. What is the balance of the prepaid accrued benefit cost? Well, ito gagawin ko dyan. Yung PABC natin, difference lang yan ng FBPA and PBO. Ano yung beginning yan? FBPA, 7 million. PBO natin, 7.5. Difference sila, 500,000. So, ibig sabihin, may accrued benefit cost tayo. Alright? And then, entryhan natin. Debit employee benefit expense, the compute natin is 1,350,000. Debit, or credit cash, yung contribution natin sa fund na 1.5 million. Credit remeasurement gain, remeasurement gain natin is 340,000, na-compute natin. Therefore, meron tayong debit PABC, balancing figure natin yan. So, yung credit natin, 1.5 million plus 340 minus 1,350,000, PABC natin is 490,000. Okay, so debit mo yan, 490, ending balance ng PABC natin, 500,000 minus, 190 lang yata ito. So, 1,350, 1.2 million itong contribution natin, hindi 1.5 million. So, this is, tingnan natin, 1.2 million yung contribution plus 340,000 remeasurement gain minus employee benefit expense, 1,350, that's 190,000. 500 minus 190, you get 310,000 credit letter boy. Or pwede rin pala, difference na ng dalawa na to. Okay, mas simple yan. 7,450,000 minus 7,140,000, that's also 310,000. Okay, letter B for number 8. So guys, let's go to share-based compensation. Sir, ano kailangan namin tandaan dyan sa share-based compensation? Well, meron tayong tinatawag na equity settled, share-based compensation, and cash settled. Yung equity settled, yun yung share options. Yung cash settled, yan yung share appreciation rights. Yung share option is a share premium account, so ibig sabihin equity account yan. SARS natin is a liability account. Okay, so equity yung share option, liability yung SARS. Paano natin sir mini-measure yung share option? May hierarchy tayo. Number 1 is fair value method. Fair value method is equal to the fair value of share options at the date of grant. Kung kailan grinant, yung options, yun yung gagamitin natin. Fair value of share options at the date of grant. Alright? And then, kapag hindi determinable, yung fair value of share options, intrinsic value method. Intrinsic value method is just S minus X. Yung S natin, yan yung stock price. Yung X natin, yan yung exercise price. Alright? Now, the fair value method or intrinsic value method, may dalawang pwedeng possible scenarios dyan. Pwedeng vesting immediately. So, ibig sabihin ng vesting immediately, wala na tayong any other required na service period. Therefore, 100% expense na agad yung recognize mo. Or not vesting immediately. Pag not vesting immediately, we allocate the expense over the vesting period or service period. Alright? So, ganun siya. Now, yung SARS naman, share appreciation rights, again, is a liability. Dalawa yan. Measurement natin, fair value method din. Pero, ang difference niyan, this is fair value of SARS every December 31. Okay? Unlike dito, date of grant. Ito naman, every December 31, so nagbabago yung fair value method kapag SARS. Kapag hindi determinable yung fair value, intrinsic value method is just S minus X. Okay, let's go to theory number 1, the total compensation expense in a share option plan normally is measured at, punta ka sa letter A, fair value of the share option at the date of grant. Okay, so fair value of the share option at the date of grant, letter A for number 1. Number 2, it is the difference between the fair value of the shares to be subscribed and the price paid required to be paid. So S minus X, exercise price, yung required to be paid, intrinsic value yan. Boy for number 2. Number 3, a cash settled share-based payment transactions increases. Okay, yung cash settled, which is yung SARS, nag-increase siya ng liability. Letter dog, letter D. Number 4, compensation cost for share-based payment for employees that is classified as liability in SARS is measured at fair value each of the reporting period or every December 31. Letter A for number 4. Okay, numbers 5 to 8. Tingnan natin. Number 5, what is the compensation expense 2025, 2026, 2027, and share premium upon exercise? Let's see the given. On January 1, Mr. Accounting Company granted 100 share options, each to 500 employees. 2025, tingnan natin. Meron tayong 100 share options times 500 employees. Okay? Conditional upon the employees remaining the entity's employee with vesting period. The share options vest at the end of a 3-year period. So yung vesting period, also called service period, 3 years yan. On grant date, each share option is a fair value of 30. Yung gagamitin mo kasi fair value of share option at the date of grant. Alright, so multiply natin by 30. And then the par value is 100. On December 31, 30 employees have left. 2026, 2025 muna tayo. So 100 times 500 times 30 times 1 over 3 because first year tayo, over 3 years. 100 share options times 500 employees times 30 fair value divided by 3, you get 500,000. So ang gagawin ko dito class, ang technique natin, meron tayong T account. Okay? Share premium, share options, meron tayong 500,000. Next, 2026. Nakalagay dyan, second paragraph, 30 employees have left and it's expected that on the basis of weighted average probability, further 30 employees will leave. So gagawin ko dyan, 100. Total employees, 500. Pero umalis yung 30, alis din yung ibang 30. Okay? 500 minus 30, 440 employees na lang. Multiply natin by the fair value of the option at grant date times 2 over 3 kasi second year na. 100 times 440 times 30 times 2 over 3, you get 880,000. Okay? So lagay mo yun sa T account natin. Alam natin, is a ending balance. Therefore, expense mo, 880 minus 500, 380,000. Sagot natin sa number 5, what is the compensation expense for 2025? 500,000 yung sagot mo dyan. Okay? For 5 letters C. For number 6, what is the compensation expense for 2026? Sagot mo dyan, 380,000, letter C. Doon naman tayo sa 2027, 100 share options, 500 yung employees. May umalis na 30 last year. And then, on December 31, 2027, only 20 employees actually left. Kapag last year na, yung actual na. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, 450 yung total employees natin. Times 30, times 3 over 3, let's compute 100. Times 450, times 30, times 3 over 3, 1,350,000. Okay, 880, lagay natin yung ending balance sa 1,350, solve for X, 1,350 minus 880, you have 470,000. Sagot natin class, for number 7, what is the compensation expense 2027? Letter D, 470,000. Number 8, what is the share premium upon exercise? So let's say nag-exercise yung 450 employees. Tayo yung point of view of the corporation. Tama? Debit cash, how much yung marireceive natin? Well, 100 yung share options, 450 yung employees. Exercise price, nakalagay sa problem. Dun sa first paragraph, yung dulo, 120 yung nakalagay. Yun yung cash na marireceive natin. 100 times 450 times 120, debit cash, 5.4 million. And then, debit natin share premium share options kasi in-exercise na, dapat wala na yan. 1,350,000. Issue tayo ng shares, credit share capital. Meron tayo 100 share options, multiply na sa 450 employees. Ano yung par value? Punta ka dun sa first paragraph, sa last sentence, par value daw is 100. 100 times 450 times 100, you have 4.5 million. Balancing figure natin, debit 5.4 million plus 1,350,000 minus 4.5 million, share premium natin class is 225,000. Yes, 250,000. Pero ang tanong dyan, sa number 8, what is the share premium upon exercise? Share premium din to, yung 1,350. So, inet mo yan, 2,250 minus 1,350. Sagot mo dyan is 900,000. Sagot natin for number 8, letter C, 900,000. I-offset mo yan. Okay, let's go to number 9 and 10. Intrinsic value method naman. Kapag hindi determinable yung fair value, intrinsic value tayo. So, tingnan natin. Let's go to number 9. What is the compensation expense? 2027. And number 10, what is the compensation expense? 2028. Let's see the given. On January 1, CBA company granted 60,000 share options. So, complete natin yung intrinsic value. 2025, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? The share options will vest at the end of 3 years. So, meron tayong vesting period na 3 years. The option price is 60. So, yung X natin, di ba? S minus X to, tama? X natin is 60. The entity concluded that the fair value cannot be measured reliably. The share options have 4 years, life of 4 years, which means the share options can be exercised within 1 year after the vesting. The share price are 62, yan yung S. So 62 minus 60, that is 2 intrinsic value. Next, 66 minus 60, that is 6. 75 minus 60, that's 15. And 85 minus 60, that is 25. Okay, yun yung mga intrinsic value natin. Compute natin yung expense. So 2 times 60,000 daw, yung share options, times 1 over 3 because yan yung first year. 2 times 60,000 times 1 over 3, that is 40,000. Alright, so T account natin, share premium, share options, 40,000. Next natin is 2026 times 60,000 times 2 over 3. 6 times 60,000 times 2 over 3, you have 240,000. 240, lagay mo yun sa ending balance. Solve for x, you have 200,000. Sagot natin for number 9. Oh, wala pa pala. 2027 pala yung tanong. 15 times 60,000 times 3 over 3. Tingnan natin. 15 times 60,000 times 3 over 3, 900,000. Lagay mo sa ending balance yan, 900,000. Solve for x, 900 minus 240. You have 660,000. Kaya sagot natin for number 9, what is the compensation expense in 2027? 660,000, letter D. Number 10, in 2028 naman, times 60,000, times 3 over 3, 25 times 60,000, you have 1.5 million. So, ibig sabihin, ending balance mo 1.5 million, solve for x, 600,000. Sagot natin for question number 10 is boy, 600,000. Last one. Number 11, what amount to be reported as compensation expense as a result of the share appreciation rights? Pag SARS, fair value method, yung fair value of the SARS every end of December 31 or every end of the year. Pag wala, intrinsic value method. On January 1, XYZ company offered share appreciation rights with the following terms. Predetermined price 100, yan yung X. Okay? So yung X natin is 100. And then number of shares 50,000, service period 3, exercise date January 1. The quoted, walang binigay sa atin na fair value of SARS. So ibig sabihin, intrinsic value method tayo. Let's compute the intrinsic value for each year. Okay? So intrinsic value 2025, 26 and 27. 100, okay, 124, yung 2020 December 31, 2025 is 124 minus 100, so that is 24. Next, 151 minus 100, that is 51. 151 minus 100, that is 51. Okay? Multiply natin by the number of share appreciation rights, 50,000 times 1 over 3. Okay, so 24 times 50,000 times 1 over 3, you get 400,000. So, T-account tayo. In this case, salaries payable naman because liability yan. 400,000. Next natin is 2026, 51 times 50,000 times 2 over 3. Okay, 51 times 50,000 times 2 over 3, you have 1.7 million. 1.7 million, lagay mo siya dito. 400,000, lagay mo 1.7 million, that is 1.3 million. And last one, 2027, yan yung tanong sa atin actually. Times 50,000 times 3 over 3. Tingnan natin. 51 times 50,000, you have 2,550,000. 2,550,000. So, lagyan natin sa ending balance, 2,550,000. 1.7 million, naging 2,550,000. Sagot mo dyan, class, is 850,000. Final answer for number 11 is letter C, 850,000.
Tagging location. Never mind. Bug hole. Southwest. Close. Outpost destroyed.
Dropping a pin. South. 50 meters.
Dropping a pin. East. 200 meters.
Muse all out there by herself.
Calling down supplies.
Okay.
Rare sample acquired.
Permanent hive structure destroyed.
Calling down a sentry.
Now we activate the shuttle bay. Evacuate these suckers.
Engaging terminal.
Orbital inbound. Requesting air support.
That's it?
Extracted your discretion.
What the hell? We used to have to actually evacuate them.
Requesting orbital.
Huh.
Sending in an eagle.
It's weird.
Tagging map. South. Far.
Freedom forever.
That mission went way too quickly.
Tracking location.
Distraction when
Headed
ready.
west, 50 meters.
I'm gonna go call in the extract then. No, it does not make sense.
Orbital inbound. Heavy, west, close.
Reinforcing!
Sending in an eagle. Requesting air support.
Calling in extraction.
Extraction shuttle inbound.
Calling in reinforcements.
Allied destroyer has left.
Oh, what?
Sending in an eagle.
What happened, dude?
ETA T-minus 1
We
minute,
need
30
you, bro.
seconds.
Come on, bro. What happened?
Requesting orbital.
Invite. Come back. I invited you again, so you should be able to come back in. Oh, internet's down. Okay.
ETA T-minus 1 minute.
Requesting air support.
Need liberty. Last reload. Requesting sentry.
ETA T-minus 30 seconds. ETA T-minus 20 seconds. ETA T-minus 10 seconds.
This is Pelican 1. I have visual on the extraction zone. An eagle.
Democracy's on its way.
Pelican 1 landing sequence initiated. Watch where you're standing. For peace! Pelican 1 preparing to depart. Telelaunch in 20 seconds. Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
Dude, you're always killing me. You're constantly killing me. We missed a stalker nest. Oh. Dude, I've been killed by my team, I don't know, maybe like 10 times, and I think I've had like one legitimate death. One or two. Yeah, that sucks, dude. It's all good though. If your internet's back, let me know. Oh yeah, Mew is in charge of this lobby.
Welcome back. Well done.
Allied destroyer has left squadron.
Oh, what happened? I think tonight is the night I get all my backs for all the team kills. Yeah. Are you done, Dawn? I'm probably gonna stick around for like
You're here. The
one or two
galaxy-
more. Gonna play Dead Island. All right, no problem.
One mission more.
I'll do one more 3-set with the randoms. If I'm playing with you, yeah, all right. No worries.
Engaging orbital thrusters.
I could actually, hold on.
Launch suspended.
I could go for the solo run. Oh, they just joined. Damn, I was about to go for the solo run.
Engaging orbital
Nah, no
thrusters.
worries. No worries. They were mostly funny. They were
Orbit
kind of
synchronized.
I was laughing. No need to apologize. It was funny, especially the last one. That one was particularly funny. I didn't know it was you who was pinging the extract shit. I thought it was the other guy. And now I know why you were pinging it, because you threw one of your patented eagles.
Allied destroyer has left squadron.
Let's see what these guys bring. So we're rolling with the Randys. This will be my last 3-set. I'm proud of my 2K friendly damage. You should be. I mean, it's not easy to get that much friendly damage. It's not easy. You have to work at it.
Allied destroyer has joined squadron. Engaging orbital thrusters.
We'll see what this person picks for their boost.
Orbit synchronized.
Okay, then I will bring the experimental infusion.
Helipod launch initiated.
Dead Island 2. Yeah, if you like zombie games, I don't know, maybe you want to play No More Room in Hell with me. It should only be like 20 or 30 bucks. It's not going to be expensive. Can I? Yeah, you can actually. I'm pretty sure you can kill your own teammates, which is crazy considering that it's permadeath. But like if your character dies, like you have to start all over. But yes, I think you can.
Dropping a pin, northeast, 200 meters. Tagging map, east, far. Dropping a pin, northeast, 200 meters.
I'm fairly certain you can, yes.
Requesting air support.
At least from what I've read in the Discord, but I'm not 100% sure.
Bug hole, north, 300 meters. Bug outpost spotted. Reloading.
Come on, bro.
Requesting air
That's going to be a
support.
terrible throw. Yeah. All height,
On its way.
no
Have a taste of
distance.
democracy.